welcome back to the channel. It's Mr. Yum here, and I absolutely love traveling, and it's been a huge time since I went anywhere outside of New Zealand and Australia. So the last time I traveled abroad would have been in 2009 when I was about 11 years old, and my family went on a trip all over the world. During that trip we went to Disneyland Paris, which is an amazing park, and to me that's what I associate with a Disney park. So when I found out that we were going to be going to Hong Kong and visiting Hong Kong Disneyland, I couldn't believe it. I didn't even believe it while we were at the airport, literally about to board the plane in like 15 minutes. I was convinced that something would happen and the trip would be cancelled, and it wouldn't happen. We flew Cathay Pacific in business class, which obviously I'm very fortunate and very lucky to be able to experience. It's great if you're a tall person like me, because sitting in kind of tight seats for like 8 hours is not ideal. I've got some back issues and leg issues and stuff, so the extra legroom was a huge benefit. So the flight from Brisbane to Hong Kong is about 8 hours, and we left fairly late at night at about 9 o'clock, I believe. The idea was that by the time we got there we could have had some rest on the plane and then just gotten straight into it. And the plane was absolutely amazing. Fortunately, I'm one of those people that actually loves flying. I know a lot of people get terrified of flying. People get worried about all kinds of things, but I'm generally pretty fine unless it's turbulent. I don't think anyone enjoys turbulence. And business class in Cathay Pacific is incredible. The seats were amazing, super spacious with heaps of room. The seat actually reclines all the way back into a bed so you can sleep on the flight, which I've never experienced in my life. Even as I was sitting in this amazing comfortable seat enjoying the copious amounts of legroom, I still couldn't believe that I was actually flying to Hong Kong and I was going to be experiencing a Disney park and visiting Ocean Park and checking out Hong Kong City as well. But as the plane took off, I kind of settled into it and I just relaxed and let go and let myself unwind. One of my favorite things to do on planes is read. It's sort of one of the few times in your life where you get just uninterrupted reading time. No one's going to phone you or send you an email or anything. I know they have internet on planes, but I kind of like set a rule in my head not to use internet on the plane. It's like a detox from all of the stimulation that we are surrounded by every single day. So I love reading on the plane. It's nice and peaceful and quiet. And on this flight I was reading Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami, one of my favorite books to read when I travel anywhere. It's just a very comforting and nostalgic sort of feeling book, and it brings me a lot of joy, so I love rereading that. And one of the other incredible benefits of business class on Cathay Pacific is the food options and the drink options. There's an amazing selection of foods to choose from, and unlike normal airplane food, this is actually really good. For dinner I ordered a burger and chips. Again, another first time experience. I've never had a burger on a plane before, and that was pretty incredible. It was actually a really nice burger. The chips, they were a little, not the greatest chips in the world, but the burger, it was pretty top notch. And to drink, I had a nice gin and tonic. Yeah, I'm usually not a big drinker, but I figured being all fancy, let's have a fancy drink as well. So I enjoyed my dinner, I had a nice gin and tonic, and I continued reading for a little bit. And they also gave us some chocolates and fruit afterwards, which was a nice little treat. Took myself off to the bathroom with the amenities kit, brushed my teeth, and got my seat prepared for a nice sleep in the sky. The cabin lights kind of dimmed down to encourage everyone to rest. Surprisingly, I did actually manage to get a bit of sleep on the flight, it was actually a really comfortable bed, kind of just a lull off to sleep. It's like being rocked gently to sleep. Later, I woke early in the morning to see a flight attendant right in my face, giving me breakfast, which I had ordered the night before on a little form that you fill out to say what you want for your breakfast. And for my breakfast I had a cup of coffee, apple juice, some smoked salmon and scrambled eggs and cherry tomatoes and kale or rocket I think it was. And this was really, really good. It was a great start to the day. Being woken up with breakfast in your airplane bed is like the most privileged sort of thing you could experience. Something I can tick off my bucket list now. The sun started to come up and I was looking out the window as we were coming into Hong Kong and reading for a little bit longer. As we approached Hong Kong, I looked out the window and I could see the ocean down below, and there's all these islands surrounding Hong Kong, little islands dotted around, and it's really beautiful. And you can see this giant bridge that leads to Macau, And if you haven't heard of Macau before, it's kind of like the Las Vegas of East Asia, with lots of opulent sort of casinos and hotels and gambling and all kinds of stuff. And coming into Hong Kong, it's really an amazing place to land. You see the mountains and the sea, and there's these really tall buildings which are actually where people live. And Hong Kong is a really densely populated city. There's a lot of people living in Hong Kong, and it's a relatively small space of land. So rather than being like spread out, it's kind of vertical. So you get like these vertical villages, which is really interesting. So that was amazing to see all these huge buildings through the mist, the morning mist or smog or whatever. And the landing in Hong Kong was nice and smooth, and there's a whole bunch of planes, probably the most planes I've ever seen in my life. It's just enormous, and I could see they were constructing some more parts of the airport, and this nice music started playing, this sort of nice like ambient calm music, and I just felt so chilled out, and I couldn't believe that I was the furthest I've been away from Australia and New Zealand in a long time. I had loved my flight on Cathay Pacific. Obviously, I'm super lucky to have been able to fly in business class. Some members of my family are a bit older, and others have like medical conditions and stuff, so it was kind of to take that into account to make it a comfortable flight for everyone, and it was just fantastic. A really special memory. And let me tell you about Hong Kong Airport. This place is gigantic. One of the biggest airports I've been that I can remember. And it's so big that you have to actually take a subway to get to the baggage claiming area. And it was pretty easy to get through like customs and the baggage collection area. Once we got through there, we went to sort of the main entrance area of the airport, which was this huge space with lots of cool stuff to look at. These big like LED waterfall sort of display screens that looked quite convincing, and these old-fashioned plane displays hanging from the roof, and all kinds of stuff, lots of cafes and things to check out that we didn't have a chance to look at while we were there, because we actually had pre-booked transport from the airport to the Hong Kong Disneyland Resort. But while we waited to meet our driver, we had to stop in the bathroom, and this was one of the most surprising things from the trip. The toilets in Hong Kong are like the cleanest, most pristine toilets in the world. At least in the airport, they're really nice. They're very futuristic. You feel like you're in Blade Runner or something, or like Star Wars, like this perfect, like clean space, and it's great. And everyone's quite courteous and hygienic there, and they really encourage you to like put the seat down before you flush it so it doesn't spread germs around. And there's all kinds of rules, and I don't know, it just works so well. That was one thing coming back to Australia later. The toilets here, it was really daunting. It was like a big system shock. I was so used to the toilets in Hong Kong, and then when we got back here to Australia, it was like dystopian. So we met our driver, and he was a really nice guy. He was, I think he was called like Cookie or something, which was a really cool name. I don't know if that's his real name, but if it is, that's an awesome name to be born with. And he was telling us all the things he knew about Australia, and he was like hyper focused on Australian cherries. He loved Australian cherries, and apparently the import prices for fruit into Hong Kong is very expensive, and food in general in Hong Kong is pretty expensive. And the drive from Hong Kong Airport to the Disneyland Resort was really nice, going past the water and the mountains on this big highway. It reminded me a lot of New Zealand, actually, and the city where I was born, Wellington, which is very similar. It was almost like I was back home again. I feel like I understood the lay of the land. By the time we actually got to the Hong Kong Disneyland Resort area, it was completely unreal. I couldn't believe that we were actually here, and it's located in this really, really nice area with lots of sort of elegant trees that give it a lot of shade, and it feels very walled off from the rest of the civilization around, and it's very classy. Just a beautiful place to drive around. Honestly, like even going out for a drive there would be a nice day out. I still didn't quite believe that we were there. It's so weird when you haven't been overseas for a long time. It takes a while to settle in and actually realize that it's happening, especially when there's been a lot of planning and time gone into sort of the itinerary and what you're going to be doing. A really special moment was seeing the Hong Kong Disneyland direction sign on the side of the road. My stomach was all full of butterflies and I was excited, and it took me back to those visits to Disneyland Paris when I was a kid, and some of the other Disney parks that I visited when I was much, much younger. and I felt that sort of like magical feeling coming back, and I was really excited. We got to the Disneyland Hotel, which, wow, what an amazing first impression. It's such an elegant, beautiful building, sort of old school colonial style architecture, very grand and luxurious. As soon as we got out of the car, the people from the front of the hotel were greeting us, and they were wearing Mickey Mouse gloves with big like cartoon hands, and they were waving at us. It was so nice, and they helped collect our bags and take them inside. We went through, and the atrium is, I know I keep saying the word grand, but that's really all I can use to describe it. It's this huge, elegant space, and you feel like you're in some classic 1930s sort of movie. It's just got this very romantic, like, classic feeling, and it's super impressive. They've got this giant chandelier and this huge atrium with this massive window, and you can see a courtyard with a maze and the ocean, and there's a old school elevator, statues of Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, all kinds of beautiful paintings depicting Disneyland and some of the attractions at the park in this classical style. The hotels here at Hong Kong Disneyland have this really nice smell. I can't describe it at all. It's kind of citrusy and like herbal, but it's not overpowering. It's not like pungent or anything. It's just a nice relaxing smell. It really calms you down. It didn't take too long to check in. We got to our rooms, which were again really grand, really nice, and super spacious. And I'll just say that during our trip we were actually staying at each of the hotels at the Hong Kong Disneyland Resort to kind of sample each one and see which one we liked the best. By the time we got to our rooms, everyone else was pretty tired. I think I was the only person in my group that actually managed to get any sleep on the plane. So everyone had a little nap, and I stayed up for a bit and just enjoyed being there. I just let it settle in and had a little look around. And then later everyone woke up and it was time to finally visit Hong Kong Disneyland. One of the great things about the hotels here is that many of them you can actually walk from the hotel to the park entrance. So it's super convenient, and that's one of the benefits of it being a smaller park. Everything's kind of close together, and the walk to the park is beautiful. Much like the drive into the area, it's sort of surrounded by lots of large trees and gardens. They give it lots of shade, and it feels secluded and immersive. Seriously, even just coming out for a walk in these nice gardens would be a nice little visit. And there's lots of nice old street lamps with banners showing characters from Disney, and as you approach the park you get that magical feeling in your stomach. The first thing you see even before entering the park is this really gigantic Monstro fountain display with Monstro the whale from Pinocchio and Mickey Mouse riding on top with a surfboard, and there's like a little water feature that comes out and pushes Mickey Mouse up and down. And surrounding the waterfall there's all of Mickey's friends, Goofy, Donald, Minnie. It's a really beautiful display. And in the distance you can see the mountains and hills, which is something you don't get at any of the other Disney parks. Many of them are kind of on gigantic flat areas of land, but this is a very unique park because it's actually built to kind of be a part of the surrounding terrain. And it works really nicely. I wasn't sure how I would feel about it until we got there, but I actually really liked it. It was really nice, and it reminded me again of Wellington in New Zealand, which is a very sort of hilly city. And the temperature wasn't too bad, and there was a nice breeze coming from the hills and the sea, and it was the perfect day. It wasn't too busy by the time we actually got there. We sort of got there around after lunchtime in the afternoon, so most of the morning crowd, I suppose, had already kind of been into the park, and so getting through the gates wasn't too difficult, and the staff were really friendly, just like other Disney parks, very warm and hospitable and inviting. You're off to a great first impression, and before you get through the gates you can already see the iconic entrance, that classic old school Disney entrance with the beautiful flower display and the train station. And you pass through these little tunnels underneath the train tracks into the main street sort of courtyard area. You come out into the main street courtyard area with all the old school, old-fashioned, classical Americana style buildings. It's all decorated for Christmas because we visited in November and we're coming up to Christmas time, and I immediately felt the most Christmassy that I had felt in years, and it was only November. Lots of nice Christmas wreaths and lights and a big huge Christmas tree, which is a great photo opportunity, and it seemed like people here love to take pictures in front of things, which was kind of nice. It was cool to see people wanting to collect their memories like that, and it didn't feel sort of intrusive or vain at all. It was just like, I don't know, it was just wholesome. It was just a nice thing. They weren't like taking like obnoxious selfies or anything, but it was something you had to kind of keep in mind because you're sort of navigating through like a little minefield of people's photos that you didn't want to ruin. Mickey was out taking pictures. It was so surreal seeing a Disney character after seeing nothing but Warner Brothers Movie World characters and Kenny and Belinda or Dreamworld. It was so weird. It took me a minute to get used to that. And like I said, our visit was just a little afternoon visit. It wasn't going to be a full day out. It was more of a sort of a bonus because I think we planned to kind of like spend the day sort of resting and preparing for the next day, which was going to be our big day out. But we did have a little look around, and we popped into the gift shop, which was huge and heaps of cool stuff to look at. We had a look at the food outlets. There's like a Starbucks and a bakery sort of thing, which are both really nice. But one important thing to keep in mind about Hong Kong Disneyland is that the only place you can get coffee or tea in the park is at the Starbucks and this little bakery at the front of the park. So if you find yourself later in the day, like at the opposite end of the park, and you really want a coffee, you need your fix of caffeine because you're addicted, you have to go all the way back to the front of the park to get it. And it does get very busy here. There's a big line, and it's sort of a novelty, I suppose. Everyone really wants to like get a cool, unique Starbucks drink because they do kind of do special drinks. They're like Christmas Disney drinks. But we got some food from the little bakery, and I got a Slinky Dog hot dog, which was really nice. Just a nice, simple theme park food. And some other members of my family got like donuts and things, which were quite nice. Although they weren't quite what you would expect from donuts. They were more like cakes, I guess. They look like donuts, but then you bite into it and it's more like a cakey sort of texture. Very nice, but not quite what you would expect. So yeah, we just had a little brief preview of the park and enjoyed Main Street and the atmosphere, because one of the things that is very difficult to describe in videos is that atmosphere that you get at a Disney park, which is so immersive, and there's just like a general sort of vibe of friendliness and wholesomeness and magic and nostalgia in the air, with the nice music playing and all kinds of things to look at and appreciate. Of course, the castle itself in the distance, which is huge. It didn't always used to be this big. When Hong Kong Disneyland originally opened, it had a much smaller castle, and they recently upgraded it, and it's very impressive. And it's in this nice central hub area that juts off into each land of the park. I'm a big fan of that design. I really like parks that encourage sort of a non-linear exploration sort of way of navigating the park, and we don't get that so much here in Australia. The parks here are very much like you go to one end of the park and you have to go all the way back to the front. So I was excited at all the possibilities, all the things we were going to experience on our trip here to Hong Kong. So the first thing we did was take a ride on the train, which is a great way to experience the park and get an overview of the area. And the funny thing about this train is it's quite different because it's actually only like one-sided, so you sit facing one direction. It's more like a theatre sort of seating where you're looking outwards rather than sitting facing ahead where you can look left or right. Kind of a unique way of seeing it. It's very relaxing, very chilled out, and I love going on an old train. And it's a relatively long ride because you are going around the entire park after all, and there's a few stops along the way. One at like Adventureland and one at Fantasyland, I believe. The time we were visiting was during the lead up to the new Frozen Land, which was set to open any time now, which is kind of why we planned our trip at that point, because we wanted to be some of the first people to experience it. And as we passed by the section of land where it was going to be open, I realized that a lot of the people around me were actually like trying to look over the fence and get a little peek inside the area because they wanted to have a sneak peek. I guess there's a lot of Disney enthusiasts in Hong Kong, rightly so, because it's a lovely park. So we really enjoyed our trip on the train, and after that we continued just soaking in the atmosphere, and we saw an amazing brass band performing in front of the castle area, and they were doing a special music suite to tie in with the upcoming opening of the Frozen Land. And I love hearing live music at a theme park. It's so special, and it's something I wish the parks did here more. It brings a lot of energy into the park, and I'm a huge music fan, particularly of like jazz music and like brass band, big band sort of style music. And the band here was amazing. They were really talented and they were really energetic. I really liked the drummers, and I also liked the way that they sort of choreographed their music, where each section of the band would kind of step out in front and do their little piece and step back in, and the next would come along and do their piece. And the band leader was really interactive and excited, and he would shout out things, and it was just fantastic. We also saw the parade, which is a little bit smaller than parades that you might be used to at other Disney parks and other parks. If you're an Australian theme park fan, you'll know the parade at Warner Brothers Movie World is quite a substantial parade. The Hong Kong Disneyland parade, it covers a huge space of land. It comes all the way down from like Tomorrowland, and it's a small world, and it comes all the way down Main Street. It's not a big parade. It covers a big section of land, but it's not a lot of floats, if that makes sense. There's maybe like 3 or 4 floats, and you get some cool characters. Mickey, of course, and some other characters, and Oswald the Rabbit as well made an appearance, I believe. And although it's not a long parade, it is really fun. It's very energetic, and the music they play is extremely addictive and extremely catching. And interesting thing about the song that they play is that it was actually made for Disneyland Paris, I believe. But even just talking about that song now, I get it stuck in my head. So if you want to listen to it, be wary. It is very catchy and it's very addictive, very wholesome, and makes you feel that sense of wonder that you get when you were a kid. That's one of the things that's hard to capture about Disney parks. They're for a certain audience. There's theme park enthusiasts that they like thrill rides, and they like record-breaking roller coasters that make you black out and grey out and stuff. Sorry, that's a broad generalization. And then there's other people who are more interested in like atmosphere and theming and immersion and storytelling. I don't know, it's not mutually exclusive. It's not like you're one or the other, but I do feel like most people kind of lean towards one end of the spectrum than the other, and I certainly lean more towards that sort of immersion and storytelling. And one thing that's hard to describe to people is that sense of whimsy and wonder that you get, and seriously that like childish joy and magic and playful energy, and you can kind of let loose and have a bit more fun and be goofy and silly. And it was something I wasn't really expecting. I didn't take into account that this would be something that I would get from this trip, because I guess the last time I visited I was a kid, and that was just like part of me by default. But as you get older, that sort of gets superseded a little bit by the life obligations and things that you need to do. Coming back and realizing that was like still there, it was really uplifting and very special for me. So by the end of the day, we were all pretty spaced out and a bit starstruck from finally visiting a Disney park again, and we wanted to save all our energy for the next day, which would be a very long day. We planned to get up super early the next day and experience everything that we could, fill it to the brim, and make the most of it. So we made our way back to the hotel and settled down and got ready for bed, rediscovering that sort of like childish wonder that I had earlier in the day. I was remembering some times when I was very young and I visited some other Disney parks around the world, and the things that always excited me for some reason when we were staying at some of the hotels at the Disney parks was watching the TV and seeing like Disney Channel and some of the shows that you could watch, the cartoons that you didn't have access to back home in New Zealand where I grew up. And so I flicked on the TV here and I changed channels, and I sort of went down the rabbit hole of trying to recapture that feeling. And I stumbled across this really funny like Tarzan children's bedtime storybook condensed version of the story. And there was this one scene that made me laugh so much.
Kerchak's eyes closed.
Anyway, the perfect way to wrap up an amazing first day in Hong Kong and a little visit into Hong Kong Disney. And it got me so excited for the next day, but I was very tired, so it was straight off to bed, which was a nice comfy sleep. I'll be back again next time for our next day, which is the big day at Hong Kong Disneyland, but we'll come back to that next time. I hope you enjoyed this trip report. It's an unusual way of doing a video. I've been sitting on this footage for a long time because this trip did take place in 2023, which is coming up to 2 years ago now, and it's kind of a ridiculous amount of time to sit on all that footage, but I've sort of struggled to motivate myself to edit it because I really shot so much footage. I took so many pictures, so many videos that I didn't know where to start, but I figured it's better just to start it off and get it done with, and hopefully people enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed sharing this little adventure with me. This is the first of many videos like this. I just want to keep the vibe like chilled out and relaxed, and not like too over the top and Mr. Beast, you know, like captions in your face and all that stuff. This is just a nice comfy space to like chill out and unwind and maybe have a little sleep too. You don't have to watch it, just enjoy the the nice vibes with me. And it's a fun way for me as well to recount my adventures, because, you know, looking back at old pictures and videos, it really takes me back to those memories, and it makes me so happy that I can share it with people as well. So if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like, a friendly comment, or subscribe for more. And before we finish, I'd like to wrap things up by giving a very special thank you to Team YumYum for supporting my content. A very special thank you to Koala75, Lee Donald, SWCV1, Randall, Maloney's Coasters, Carrie Jackin, Kai on the Internet, Audrey Allen, Boogie Boogie, Theme Park Ogre, Jordan Casey, Germ, Medic Rick, Movies Like Everyone, and Senpai's JP Blue Dog. Thank you so much, everyone, for your very kind and generous support. I know I say it every single time, but it really means a lot to me. It makes me very happy that you enjoy my videos enough to support me in this way. So thank you very much. And for anyone who would like to become a channel member, you're more than welcome to do so. This will give you access to new videos early. You'll also get a special shout out and thanks at the end of my videos. A special YumYum sticker next to your username, some emojis to use in the comments and chat. And last but not least, you'll also get a special custom hand-drawn illustration by me to fit your very needs and requirements. And for any members of Team YumYum who haven't told me what you would like your drawing to be yet, just let me know in the comments or message me on Instagram. But if you're not in a position to support the channel in this way, you can also leave a like, a friendly comment, or subscribe for more. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.